Welcome back to another episode of StichMethod. Today, we're going to be doing an In the Mind of Jerry Garcia for his version of Simple Twist of Fate. Now, before we begin, at my second Never Lost Live workshop, this was a question that came up: how do we solo over the song? So this video is for everyone, but I want to say thank you to Ed and Dan for bringing it up. Now, to prepare for the song, I listened to a lot of versions, a ton of versions, and there's some discrepancies in the actual chord progressions and how Jerry plays it, but I found the one that I think is the most consistent amongst all of the performances I listened to. So if you happen to play it a little bit differently, it's okay. The scale choices during the moments are the same. You just might have to focus on some different chord tones. So first, let's go over the chord progression for the song that I'm going to be soloing over. And so you might want to write this down. I do have a chart available, by the way, and I'm going to be doing it all within soloing all from the 2nd and 5th fret, and you'll learn later in the video how you can learn how to do it everywhere. All right, so let me show you the chord progression we're going to do. It's going to be D, F sharp minor, D7, G, G minor, D, F sharp minor, G, D, A, D, G, D. Doom, doom, doom. Now, again, you can write that down, or it's on the chart for you. And now, so let's go right into it. Now, I'm going to let you know, Jerry Garcia, as you know, is amazing. And he is free as a bird, and he thinks in multiple directions at once. What we're going to do is try and find out the check-in points that he uses, and by practicing, if you can practice every chord moment by itself over and over again, 20, 30 minutes, you can get much looser in the concepts, and then you can put this all together. I highly recommend taking that path. Okay. So the first chord, D. Again, for this video, we're going to be learning how to solo between the 2nd and 5th fret. It's where I chose to do it. It's most palatable. So let's start. The D chord between these frets is a C-shaped D chord on the 2nd fret bar and here. Pinky, 5th fret of the A. Ring finger, 4th fret of the D. First finger barred, it's going to be 2nd fret of the G, then 3rd fret B, and 2nd fret E. Sorry. Now I have a delay on my guitar, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I'm just going to turn it off right now. Okay, so, all right. And so this is the first chord. So I looked at the chord progression, and the first two chords seem to be in the key of D major, okay? We have a D major to an F sharp minor. That is a 1 to a 3. So the scale choices that he uses on this D alone are pretty awesome. Let's just go over it. The first thing you're going to focus on is your chord tones, of course. The second thing you're going to do is know the D major pentatonic here. Now this is a form 4 in the 2nd fret, and its frets are 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 4, 2, 4, 3, 5, 2, 5. And so the first thing you're going to do here is learn how Jerry Garcia can start a note either on a chord tone or a pentatonic note that's not in the chord but in the scale, the ones that aren't in the chords, and work chromatically either towards a chord tone or away from the chord tone with the boundaries of the pentatonic. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, you'll hear him come in on this A, B, C sharp, and then D, and then he might, want to get this chord tone, but pick this note in the pentatonic and chromatically come up. Then he might want to get to this chord tone, and then go to the pentatonic here. Then he might want to get to this chord tone and do. this chord tone. And so chromatic enclosements or chromatic movement towards a chord tone or away from a chord tone to the pentatonic boundary is the first thing you want to practice. Something to that extent. Let's see what it sounds like with the actual backing track. Okay, so there it was, really quick. The second option I'm going to give you is to do the same thing, featuring those chord tones, but staying inside now of the D major scale. Just a little enhancement. And now it's 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. Again, the chart will have this. If you're familiar with it, great. If you don't want to get the chart, you can just write this down. But now here's a D, the D with those chord tones highlighted, but now kind of just meandering through a D major scale. Let's try that again. All right. Very brief, but you saw I kind of just meandered through the scale. And I also focus on the chord tones. All right, next is the F sharp minor. Now, the reason I bring this up, that it was in the key of D, because you have a couple options here. It gets crazy, all right? The first option that you gotta know of is your chord tones. You gotta know those frets. And the first option, just like the first chord, is you're gonna try and do the F sharp minor pentatonic, which would be a form 1, 2, 5, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 5. All right? And so now I'm just going to solo with the F sharp minor, focusing on the minor pentatonic and the chord tones. Let's see how it sounds. There it was. Now, another option you can do is play the F sharp chord tones, but you can still travel through the D major scale. You just might want to be wary. It's the scale I just showed you for the D major chord. But you want to know where your chord tones are, because this is a chord tone here. You might end up here, and you'd be like, oh my God, the gravity of the chord tone wants to pull it in. So I'll do it again, but I'm going to focus on the D major scale path while focusing on those F sharp minor chord tones. Here we go. Now, I did something by accident. I hit a note outside of the key, outside of the scale, but that's the third option, is chromatically get to where you want to go. If you can see that whole scale, Jerry does this stuff, chromatic enclosements. That's the third option you have for your F sharp minor. There's a lot to do. We're in 2 chords already, and you can see it's like, oh my gosh. But the last thing I'll say about the F sharp minor, and you want to do this for most of your playing, is when you're going from the D to the F sharp minor, say you're on this D, you want to lead with the closest chord tone of your F sharp minor. I call this proximity playing. What I mean by this is, if I'm on the D and I'm ending here, I know the F sharp minor is coming. I'm going to look for the closest chord tone of the F sharp minor and lead in this change with a half step. If I can. If I'm here for the D, this is the third of the D. This is the same note for the F sharp minor. You can get there by just doing a chromatic run back into it. And so playing by proximity, having a note, and then when the chord changes, finding a note that's very close physically to where you are, helps lead the ear. So in the F sharp, you can do chromatic enclosements. On the pentatonic, you can stay within the D major scale and hit the chord tones. Have fun with it. It's the chord tones that you're going to check in with. The third chord now, the D7. This is the one where Jerry starts to really lighten up. Now, D7, we got to talk about this. We have a key change here, okay? There is no D7 in the key of D. all right? It would be a D major 7 if it was in the key of D, but we have a D dominant 7th chord, and that is a key change. Well, what key does a D7 belong to? It belongs to the key of G, right about here somewhere. I should have the chords of the key of G, and the D7, maybe around here, is going to be in the 5th spot, and it's in the key of G. So what Jerry does is he switches over to a G major scale, and that would be on the 3rd fret, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3. It's a standard major scale shape a lot of us already know. But funny enough, he doesn't really focus on the full chord tones of the D7. He really focuses on the C note. Now, why does he focus on the C? Well, in a D7 chord is nothing but a D chord where we're adding a C note. And Jerry knows that the C is the most important note to that D7, so he targets it. So let me show you where it is. 3rd fret A, 5th fret G. Now, of course, hitting some Ds along the way are great, but he really loosens up and kind of like runs through the scale in these like little flighty patterns, but he kind of like hits the C's a lot. Let's hear if we can capture that sound. Got it. All right, so now let's keep going. So on that D7 chord, it's a G major scale, and you kind of focus on the C's and D's. Then we go to a G chord. Now, the G chord, again, very simple. It's in the key of G. You're still sticking with the G major scale, and you're going to find those G chord tones, and here they're on the 3rd fret. It's an E-shaped chord, 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3. You really just want to focus on those. And hitting those along the way. But Jerry does, of course, do something Jerry-ish, which is he likes to bring in the major 7, the F sharps. Well, because in the key of G, the G is played as a G major 7. And I guess he figures, well, if I'm playing a D7, you know, and then I'm going to a G, I can highlight the F sharp. And you'll hear him in a lot of the versions kind of hang on that note. So I'm going to play the D, the F sharp minor, the D7, and then the G. I'm going to follow those paths. And we're just checking in, okay? Here we go. Let's see if we can spot all this stuff. I messed up, it's okay. Still sounds good. My finger hit the wrong fret. It's okay. All right, so before I do it again for redemption, I'm going to explain something. Now I'm going to turn on my delay. Now I don't have the same exact delay settings as Jerry, but he has a very, very slight delay. So whatever pedal you have for delay, turn it on. I'm on a I don't know 100/600 setting, and I kind of finagled it. Right, I'm on my Boss ME80, and I got a nice, decent, laid-back delay. And now when you play with this, you can hear that it kind of has more of the Jerry Live sound. Much better. All right. Now, after that G comes a G minor. There's a lot of chord changes in the song. Hopefully you know it and you like this. All right. G minor. I guess I'll leave my delay on now. The most important note to a G minor chord, of course, is the minor 3rd, located right here in the 3rd fret of that G string, and he's going to use the G minor pentatonic. Two options: G minor pentatonic, 3/6, 3/5, 3/5, 3/5, 3/6, 3/6. Again, all this will be in your chart. Or he's going to use the G Dorian scale. We can figure out the Y's and stuff, but I listened to so many, and we have this 3/5/6, 3/5, 2/3/5, 2/3/5, 3/5/6, 3/5/6. He will either come in on the minor 3rd, gently play a little bit of the minor pentatonic and some cool pattern, or he'll come in the minor 3rd and just really do these these wicked little triplets and patterns of going forward, enclosures, and you can really hear it. So I'm going to try to do that. On the G minor, I'm going to think either pentatonic, I'm going to think Dorian, with a little bit of flash. Here we go. Good. All right. Hopefully we're doing well. Now we're on the home stretch, so, take a deep breath, pause the video, get a fresca if you like. All right. After that G minor chord, we have this quick chord change of a D, F sharp minor, G. And the count is D for 2, F sharp minor for 2, then G for 4. Now, this is all back into the key of D here, okay? This is the D is the 1, F sharp minor is the 3, and G is the 4. So he uses the D major scale. You might hear him do some double stops and stuff like this. And if you want to practice your double stops and lines, what you're going to look for is those 3 chords. The C-shaped chord on the 2nd fret is your D. Your F sharp minor chord is your E minor shaped chord in the 2nd fret, and your G chord is your E major shaped chord. Now, what I would do if I were you, I would just pick the B string and G string, and I'd find notes of all those chords just in those string sets. So for the D, I have 2nd fret, G, and 3rd fret of the B. For the F sharp minor, I have 2 and 2. And for the G, 4 and 3. 4 on the G and 3 on the B. So here's my D chord, here's my F sharp minor chord, here's my G chord, and you can kind of sew these pieces together. And then to the D major scale, F sharp minor, and then slide into that G. Let's see if we can get that moment as well. There it is. Okay. So there it was. Hopefully you saw it. I was kind of just zoning out there. All right. Closer to the home stretch now. After the D, F sharp minor, G, it goes from D, and so D here. Great. All we need to do is play some D chord tones in that D major scale. Chromatically enclose them if you want. Anything you want. And then for the A, you can use A chord tones. Okay, you can use your A chord tones here, G-shaped A chord. And these will all be in the chart. Or you can do this famous type of Jerry line, D, A, where he goes, yeah. And this line right here is the open A and 2nd fret of the D, 4th fret D, 5th fret, back to 4th fret, and then back to 2nd fret, 4th fret of the A, and then you're gonna land back into a D. And I lied to you actually, by the way. It's the same frets, but you're plucking the D and G. Okay, so you're gonna bar down, and it's 2nd fret, and it's on the D string 2, 4, 5, 4, 2. I'm not touching the A string. I lied to you. I'm touching the D and G. Okay, so let's just listen for those moments. That D coming out of that chord change, I'm going to play some D chord tones. When the A comes, I can do that. Or I can play some A chord tones. Whatever I decide is going to be right. Why? Because I am confident what I do, and I can always change it next time if I want to. Here we go. kind of got it. I wasn't even paying attention, but you can see that's where it was. I've zoned out, all right? And then right at the end, here we are, last two chords, D, G, D. D, so it goes D, A, then D, G, and D. What does Jerry do? Well, coming out of the A, he kind of slides in from the 4 to the 5 to the D, hits the D on the 3rd fret of that B string, then he slides in the 4th fret on the D string to the G chord, and then back to the D. So, it's really in. Something to that extent. Let's see if I can put it all together. Again, rewind, hit the amazing slower downer button on YouTube. Let's see if I can get the whole thing with that mindset. Goes. All right, now take a deep breath, relax, pause this video. You can probably tell by the timestamp we have a little bit more to do. All right, basic fundamentals. Frame out your chords, frame out your scales, move within the right notes of the scale work, or you can enclose chromatically. As long as you move towards a chord tone, you can get that vibe. Have a nice, decent delay on, you should be fine. Now, one thing I want to show you is that if you take this an octave higher, right? 1 octave higher, boom, 14th fret, nothing changes. I got my D chord, you can figure this all out. My G chord, my D7, my F sharp minor, they're all there. And you can do the same exact patterns, but one thing I want to say is there's this Jerry thing he always does, where he starts on the D right here. Here's that D chord, and there's that 1, 3, 5, and I talk about this in all my videos. 5, flat 5, 4, 3, and that pull off, that or however you want to do it. So I'm going to do the same thing up here, but I'm going to throw that pull off in. Let's see if we can do it. Now again, my finger is so chunky that they get stuck on that. It's very hard to do them though. But you'll get it. All right, so there it is in both sections. Go have a ton of fun with this. Take your time, practice each section with its boundaries of chords, its boundaries of scales, and how to flow in between. Don't be afraid of chromatic runs and just go do it. Now, before you go, I opened up a brand new Patreon account. Well, why would I go do that? Because I want you guys to practice, and I want you guys to have new information. I think that when I release the videos on YouTube, they offer a lot, but the practice aspect of you doing it and me doing it with you isn't there. So I developed this Patreon account. It has a tier where you can practice with me, and I'm going to shoot, right when I'm done, I'm going to shoot 3 new videos about how to play this song on the 5th fret with all the chords in the 5th fret and the scales. But I'm also going to show you how to practice, how I would go about practicing all these chord tones in the videos I just showed you. So if you're interested in spending more time with me and actually practicing how I would practice for this song, you can check out my Patreon account link below, and you can look at the practice with Stitch tier and some other tiers there. But I figured that if you're going to help support the channel, that I really want to help support you in your journey. And I think, again, just practicing together and showing you what it's about is very helpful. So thank you for being here. Share and subscribe if you like. Hopefully this wasn't too huge. I'll stop talking. Thanks again. Rock and roll. Bye-bye.